I was going to say that one of the things that really can help people when you're interacting with someone and they're giving you a very strong emotional reaction, one thing that helps is really trying to understand what's going on with them. What is deep down inside the thing that's that's happening? Are they fearful of losing their job? Are they fearful of losing you as a romantic partner? Are they guilty about something that they did or didn't do? Do they have self-loathing? They don't feel they're worthy, whatever it is. And then when you understand what that is, then when they react and they say something or act a certain way, it's in the context of this is what's actually happening. And so this, I think having some empathy and curiosity, okay, what's going on with the person for them to act that way really helps like understand this is what I should do. This is how I should respond. I'm not going to react, in kind or emotionally because this person's in pain. This person's suffering in some way.
Yeah,
And if I
yeah,
just understood that, then I could help them.
yeah. And I think what you said earlier was helpful in that you said, intellect, that's a rational intellectual argument, which I would say many people agree with. But if you have unresolved core emotions yourself based on past traumas, maybe even generational trauma, like unresolved fears, unresolved self-loathing, unresolved guilt, you'll intellectually understand what you said, but you won't be able to get yourself to interact with them differently because your emotions are constantly getting triggered now and reactive to theirs
Hmm.
stuff. So that's where this work can really come in. So, so there's somebody listening to this and no, your argument makes total sense, but then they're like, I don't know how to do this, because they keep on yelling at me or they keep on using drugs or they keep on doing these things and keeps on triggering me, then that's where this work would come in. You resolve the emotions underneath that, and then you'll be able to interact with them, see that they're upset, knowing what really in the end what they need to do. But you're always actually coming from this calmer, more intuitive place. And a lot of it, then the solution becomes you have to let this play out inside of them. You have
Yeah.
to just really let this play out because when you try to like tell them about it, when that ego is like that and it's full of all those unresolved emotions, it gets defensive. It wants to stay in its track. And if you start to try to say something differently while it's like that and all emotional, it'll get defensive. So a lot of the answer is they have to keep on experiencing the consequences of this and just let this thing play out.
Yep. I think the bridge between the cognitive, intellectual, rational side and the experiential, emotional side is that if you actually have empathy for the other person, deep, deep empathy, you will connect with them emotionally. You will better understand where they're coming from emotionally, not like just rationally, like if A and B, then C. It's much more like, oh, I understand why you're under pain, why you feel
Yeah.
pain. I
Yeah.
understand why. And that's the kind of thing that allows people to have this deeper connection and then get to the root issue and then move forward.
Yeah. I mean, the etymology of the word compassion is to feel with. So I understand your pain. I mean, I really understand it because I've resolved my own. I actually experienced that pain you're going through when you're frustrated with a married partner and you don't know what to do and you're scared because you have this pain that's unresolved. I know what that pain is like. So therefore, so when you resolve that, yeah, not only will you be able to see what they, possibly needs to happen emotionally, you'll be able to be not reactive to your stuff, which is what the parents tell me when they do this work, they're watching their adult child in pain, but now miraculously they're not reactive
Yeah.
because they've resolved their stuff underneath. Yeah. So hopefully we can have more discussions around, and this can be applicable to all types of relationships, even a coworker,
Mhm.
friend, anything where, you don't want to leave the relationship. You don't want to throw it away, or you just don't want to leave it automatically, but you know that there's an ongoing problem and you don't know what to do. Usually it points to an unresolved core emotion, and in a way, that difficult relationship is just mirroring the work you need to do on yourself. And so in a way, what I say is that's good. The fact that, it's bringing up all this anxiety to you is actually a good thing because the anxiety is like a check engine light. It's just telling you this situation is telling you that there's something inside to resolve. So it's going to keep on hitting that anxiety thing, that check engine light until you do. And that could take years, but still, it's going to keep on doing that.
And I wonder if between COVID, social isolation where we're not, socializing as much with people in real life, and social media where we are socializing with people online, makes it harder to have that actual deep emotional connection with people, to actually have empathy for someone else, especially if you don't know them. It's much easier to think of other people as separate from us. Oh, they're just that way. They're in that group. They blah, blah, blah. They're not like me. They're not like my friends, my people. And so we've created these, I would say, divisions within society because we're not connecting to people in real life, emotionally and deeply, experientially. We don't have empathy for other people. If we did have deep empathy for other people, I think a lot of these issues would, if not resolved by themselves, we would at least understand each other better.
Hmm. Well, yes, I totally agree. And what I also see is honestly, the energy of life through the human species is constantly just resolving emotions. It's just constantly, usually, honestly, generational trauma emotions. It gets built up in a system, then it peaks and goes down again, and just keeps on going in this up and down like this, like a wave in the ocean and stuff. And so, and seeing that more, let's say, fuller picture across time or as the human species like that, again, it's seen that the suffering is necessary. Like the wave has to be able to peak. Like if you take a wave in the ocean and you try to push it down with a piece of plywood, it's just going to make a mess. But if you allow it to peak, in a controlled, loving, nurturing way, which this protocol does, then it'll be able to go down. But then you'll see, though, that this suffering to a certain degree is necessary. This is how life or God or the universe uses the yin and the yang together. It's so like lots of times I see on social media, especially when it comes to law of attraction, spiritual stuff, they're always trying to go towards positivity, and I don't want to be negative anymore on positivity. Positivity. It is like saying, well, I only want to be living in the daylight. I don't want to know that nighttime even exists. I only want to have, like, if you're looking at a beautiful painting, take all the dark parts out. And then when you take them out, you'll realize, oh, something's missing. And then you realize you needed that. You needed when the emotions get up to the point where you're suffering, you needed that to know what the release and the peace feels like in the end. So on a deeper level with this work, you'll be able to have more intuitive patience as to what needs to happen in a situation. So when I interact with my daughter over problems around like their friends or boys or something like that, lots of times you just sort of let the emotions go until they, because they're not going to listen to you anyway until they're ready to. And usually they're not ready to, and they're allowed until they felt heard, until they felt understood, until the emotions allowed to peak and then go down. Yeah. Great. Thanks. Thanks for this extra little post interview conversation. Appreciate it.